Welcome to the Steel City Roadrunners seminars. Just so you all know, we will be recording today's session. So if you don't want to be part of the recording, we're going to have to kindly ask that you bow out of this one. However, it will be available for you to rewatch. So if you don't want to be part of the recording, you absolutely can access the link when it's available to rewatch it. This morning, I'm Sarah Wilson. There's Victor and Betsy with us today as your trainers. And Tim from Fleet Feet is going to be joining us later. Hi, Tim. There you are. To talk about shoes. So for now, I'm going to turn it over to Betsy, who's going to talk about realistic goals.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's start with shoes.
Oh,
Because that seems like with Tim on here, we can get his information and advice too. I want to make sure we leave plenty of time for Tim to give us all of his good information. So race day shoes, just a couple things about your race day shoes. Hopefully by now you have all found shoes that are comfortable and working for you, not too terribly worn out. But if you plan to start breaking in a new pair of shoes for your race, and this is maybe a little bit more important for the full marathon, you want to make sure that you're thinking about that now and getting to Fleet Feet to get your shoes fitted and ready to go and start breaking in about 4 weeks before the race, making sure you want to try to get about 40 to 60 miles on them and one longer run so that you can really work out any kinks, blister, rubbing spots, anything like that. And if you're really happy with your shoes, now is not the time to be changing styles necessarily. But certainly if you go to the experts, they can help you find what's going to work just perfectly for you if you're not totally happy with what you've been running in so far. So about a month before the race, that would be Easter weekend, the first weekend of April. If you do plan to break in new shoes for the marathon or your half marathon, that would be the perfect time to start doing it. 40 to 60 miles on them and a long run. So Tim, we're gonna toss it over to you now, and maybe you can give us some information on how important shoes are. I think we already know they're important.
Yeah, no, yeah, I mean, you pretty much nailed it. And the important part is if you're switching styles or models or going with something new for your race, you definitely need that 40 to 60 miles and that long run, just to not only get the shoe used to the road, but get your foot used to the shoe. So yeah, no, you nailed it.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to take everything that you were going to say.
No, you're good. I'm just here as a resource if you guys need me, that's all.
Well, Tim, did you want to talk a little bit about fitting of shoes? Do you have that expertise?
Sure.
I'll just say of all the equipment, probably the shoes are the most important, because if your feet are not comfortable, you're not going to be able to finish the race, and it can have collateral effects. You can get cramps. You can get you could throw off your whole body. The alignment of your body is critical. So it's really important that you have the shoes that kind of fit your body type, how you strike, how your foot strikes the pavement. I've had, just for example, I've had the same pair of shoes, not same pair, same model of shoes. It's tweaked, but I found early in that a certain shoe fit me based upon my size of my foot. I have a wide foot, a little bit of a flat arch. So I found this model, and I have bought like 2 pairs every year or every other year. And then I will wear one and for training. And then when it gets near, like now, I will get the other new pair, and I will start interspersing it with my old pair so that I've got those new pair like ready to run. So it's similar to like a car and tires. If the tires are worn out, you're going to slide all over the road. So you want to get those new tires ready for that big trip. So Tim, why don't you jump in and talk a little bit about the specifics?
Yeah, and phasing them in is a great practice too. Phase in the new pair, phase out the old pair, and keep that rotation going. That'll not only help your body, but it'll also help it extend the life cycle of the shoe itself. So you get a little bit more bang for your buck that way. Yeah, you're right. The two factors really are shape and function. So I'm glad Victor used the term equipment. Your shoes are your most important or most valuable piece of equipment for our sport. And we're lucky we don't need a whole duffel bag full of gear as long as we have one good functional piece of equipment that works for you. And so at the store, we have, for those of you that haven't been out there, we have a piece of equipment that builds a 3D replica of your foot. So we can determine not just the size, but also the shape of different parts of your foot. And each shoe fits each part of the foot a little bit differently, whether we're talking about the toe box or the instep, the saddle of the shoe, or the heel cup. Those come in all shapes and sizes. And so based on that scan, we can match you up with the right shaped shoe, but we also do what's just a gait analysis to see how you're moving. And then we want to make sure that, to Victor's point, the shoe helps with the alignment. So you could have a shoe insert combo. You could do just a shoe. You could do inserts in your existing shoes, but we want to make sure that everything's in alignment, everything's moving appropriately, because even just a minor deviation or a minor compensation over the course of a 13.1 or 26.2 mile race is going to give you trouble. So we want to make sure that you're comfortable, you're aligned, and that you're moving well.
Tim, what would you recommend for how many miles a pair of shoes should go before it's time to retire them?
So that really kind of depends on the model shoe that you wind up in. So, a lightweight trainer that you might use for some of your shorter or faster midweek runs could last you between 300 and 400 miles. A moderate cushion shoe, which works for a large majority of people, about 400 to 500 miles, and then a maximum cushion shoe could get you to about 500 plus. So you get a good bit of wear and tear on this particular piece of equipment, depending on what sort of model you go with. But the one thing that I do like to tell everyone is you can track the mileage on your shoes, but I would also just be very aware of the biofeedback that you get. You might go out for a run one day in your shoes and then you feel fine, and then the next day you might go out for a run and your knees are really achy or your lower back hurts. That sort of biofeedback is a good indication that the cushion has lost its ability to absorb the ground reaction forces that we generate when we land. And even though it might not have lost its shape, it might have lost its ability to absorb those vibrations before it gets to your body. So there are things you can look for in terms of like the wear pattern and the compression of the cushion, but your body is going to be the biggest indicator. And then that mileage marker is just going to give you a rough amount of or a rough point in time when you should be starting to pay extra attention to your body's signals. I would say this for those of you guys that might be in the market for a new pair of shoes now for the for the race coming up. I wouldn't get so hung up on brands and really focus on the model from that particular brand. So there's going to be, popular brands that will have, a plethora of models, and some of those models are of a better quality and construction than the other. So even though they have the same logo on the side, you really want to ask questions about like, what is this shoe? What's important about this shoe? What is it doing for me? And what sets it apart from something else that you might get somewhere else.
Yeah, so I want to put a plug in for Fleet Feet and other shoe stores. It's really critical that you get fitted for the right shoe. I know people see new brands come out and new colors and they're all excited and they're like, oh yeah, I want to get these new pair of shoes. They look so cool. But if they don't fit your feet, it's like you're throwing money away. So it's really important to go to somebody who's skilled in evaluating your gait and your strike. Some people put you on treadmills and they videotape you and they can actually show you how you're running. Some people strike with your heel. Some people hit flat, some people are toes. And so that's going to indicate where all of the wear and tear on the shoes are. And certain shoes, may have a better heel. And again, to use the car and tire analogy, your shoes will wear. There's actually treads on the bottom. If you ever take a close look at it, that's an easy indicator to tell whether your shoes are starting to wear, because you will see that the treads start to get really blurred, so you don't see the treads. And if you take a couple of pairs of your running shoes and look at them, you'll probably see a pattern across all of them of where you're wearing your shoes, which can also help evaluate your strike. Are you supinate, pronate? Are you hitting on the insides, the outsides? And it's actually good to bring a pair like that into the store so they can take a look at your strike and help evaluate the right shoe for you.
Mhm.
And then I'll also add price. Don't get put off by the price, because again, it's the most important piece of equipment that you can buy. So if you're looking at a shoe that's 150 versus 100, and 150 is a better fit for you, that $50 is going to save you on medical costs down the road. It's going to save you trials and tribulations of being injured, more than well worth the investment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you'll get extra mileage out of that more expensive shoe as well. So typically you're looking at 1 to 110, 120 to 130, 150 to 160 for that lightweight trainer, moderate cushion, maximum cushion. So just a minimal upfront investment could add 100 miles, 150 miles to the pair of the shoes. And if you guys do make the trip out to the store, just mention you're with Steel City, because you guys have a standing 10% discount with us as well.
Okay.
Oh, good. Thanks for reminding us.
Yep.
Yeah.
The other thing is you'll see in the shoes that there's actually in the arch, there's a color pattern. And shoes with more of an arch have actually, I wish I had my shoes handy with me to show you, but there's different color schemes along the bottom of the sole of the sneaker. And if you need more of an arch, you'll see that there's a bigger arch there with a different color. And that's also another way to kind of see the different shoe styles. So, there's a lot of information out there that you can research to understand how the shoes are made. Like Tim said, there are different, there's soft, medium, hard for the type of runner you are. Some people like they're minimalists, so they want something with very little support. And there are other people who maybe their ankles aren't as strong, and so you may want a running shoe with better support.
Yeah, I have one more thing to add about shoes, and then we can move on to goal setting for race day. As a lifelong runner, I've been a runner for 46 some years at this point, and so I've been through a lot of shoes. But one good point, as we age and get older, it's really important to keep reevaluating your biofeedback. As Tim mentioned, as we age, I think it's important that we probably need to change our shoes a little bit more frequently, just to prevent things from happening. We don't want to take them all the way to the very end of their life and wait for an injury to happen, because as we get older, those injuries are harder to rebound from. So for me, it's worth changing shoes maybe 100 or 150 miles before they're really due to be switched out, just to keep my body healthy and happy. As we get older, our stride changes a little bit. It shortens, particularly women. I know I'm not so sure about the guys, but because our muscles change, our muscle strength changes. So our stride changes a little bit as we age through the decades. So that's just something to think about, or listen to your body and maybe consider as you get older, reevaluating how often you're getting new shoes. It's better to treat your older body with something fresh and new, just because you're worth it. For sure.
It is, and your size will definitely change over time too. As your arch will start to fall, the toes will move forward, and people always say, "Oh, my foot grew." Well, it didn't grow; it just changed shape. It got a little flatter and a little bit longer. But that can happen over the course of 2 to 3 or 3 to 6 months. So it's important to get resized frequently as well, just to make sure that you're in the right size.
Other things seem to change shape too as we get older.
Tim, when's a good time to come into the store for fitting? Morning, afternoon, evening? I've heard that, you should do it later in the day because your feet swell and if or after a run, because that's going to be more comfortable. You don't want to have too tight a shoe.
That is correct. And that is indicative of what would happen during the course of the event. No matter what time you come in, we'll take stuff like that into account though. So I wouldn't stress too much. Is it helpful? Sure. Is it necessary? Not so much. You could go, if you go to the website, there's an appointment booking system. And I would definitely recommend doing that if you have a day and a time that you can make it out to the store. We're open from 10 to 6 Monday through Friday, and then 10 to 5 on Saturdays. So if you have a definite time, I would definitely recommend booking an appointment so that way you can walk in and walk out. If you don't have that ability, try and come, I would say like mid to late afternoon. If you can, that's when we're typically the slowest. And then anytime during the week is good too. Saturdays get a little crazy with track and field starting up for the kids. So I would avoid Saturdays if you could. But again, that appointment scheduling system is on the website, so you can do that.
Tim, do you have any thoughts quickly on socks, or should we just save that for another day?
Actually, no, that's good. And I'll try not to go too far down the rabbit hole here. Moisture wicking is key, obviously, to prevent, blisters, chafing, rubbing, things like that. So that's going to be the biggest thing to look for. A compressive feature is nice just to help with blood flow, but not as important as the moisture wicking. And I would say that if you find that as we get into these longer mileage training runs, if you find that you start to get blisters on or between your toes, try the Injinji socks, which are the 5-finger ones with a little sleeve for each toe. That will help eliminate some of that skin on skin rubbing that might be causing that.
Yeah, they're hard to get on, but they're worth it once they are.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I change my socks as the seasons change. So during the summer, your feet get hotter. So I have a much thinner sock, but in the winter, I usually have something with a little bit more texture to keep my feet warm. So
smart wool in the winter.
You also have to consider the shoes. Some of them are kind of more breathable. So you get more air around it. So you may find in the winter, your feet are colder at the start until you get running, and you may want to wear a warmer sock. But in the summer, they're nice to have. My pair of shoes have a little bit more aeration.
Before we shift gears here, does anybody have any questions for Tim? Sarah?
I do, actually. Can socks wear out? Because I feel like I have some really old socks.
Yeah, they definitely can, especially depending on like what your mechanics are like in the foot when you land. So for myself, so the big toe is very flexible, and it plays a big part in the gait cycle. And a lot of times, and you guys have probably seen this, you wear a little hole right through the top part of your shoe because of that extension of the big toe. Well, the same thing will happen in the sock. So like for me, on my right foot, the big toe of the sock wears out the fastest. Okay. If you get a good pair of socks though, it's going to last you for a very long time. Okay. Some of the brand that we carry features comes with a lifetime guarantee.
I was going to say, yes. I think I've had my features socks now going on like 3 or 4 years, and I didn't know, is there any benefit to getting newer? I mean, obviously newer technology and better materials.
Honestly, as long as they're still fitting your foot and not stretched out, you're okay. As far as it's not like the cushion on a shoe that will degrade over time. As long as they're not stretched out or have a ton of holes in them, I'd say keep using them. As long as they're good socks. I never really realized the importance of it until, well, I guess 3 years now since I've been at Fleet Feet. I was the Burlington 10-pack on sale guy, and never realized what a difference it could make. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Good
Yeah,
question.
yeah, you don't want to, buy the big pack of crew socks at Sam's Club and say that's your running sock. The sock is almost as important as the shoe. And I've had features, I don't know, like 5-6 years. I have almost a drawer full of all different types of socks, and I haven't had to buy any recently. I don't know, a long time, because I wear them. I rotate them out. They're really important. Don't treat them like your dress socks, and no one's going to see the hole in your toe, so you can continue to wear them, or no one's seeing it that it's worn at the heel. Really, if you see that on your running socks, get rid of them. Use them for playing around. Don't use them for running.
Yeah, I like to work with people from the inside out, bottom to top. So what's touching your skin is going to be the most important. So you go socks, insert shoes, and then work your way up the rest of the body. So inside out, bottom to top. The one thing I will say, and I don't want to take up too much time here because I know we have a lot to talk about. I'm going to try and find a recent article and post it in the chat here for you guys. No matter what, you come in, you go through the fitting. We review the scan with you. We watch you move. We tell you all these things about the features of the shoe and what this cushion is made of versus what this cushion is made of and how that's different. There's a lot of stuff going on, and we'll make sure that you get the right fit. But at the end of the day, whatever's most comfortable for you is going to help with your running the most. So if you put on one pair of shoes and it's like, maybe these are nice, they fit well, but I'm not, I didn't have an aha moment, and you slide on another pair and all of a sudden you just fall in love, that's a good indication that that's going to be the best fit for you, no matter what we say about the difference between Power Run Plus and New Balance Fresh Foam, or the size and shape of the heel cup. I'm going to try and post that article so you guys can
Okay,
follow up
thank
on that. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Tim.
All right. Thank you, Tim, for all of your great advice.
Thank
This
you.
has been a really helpful and informative session today. I hope everybody agrees with me on that one. But let's move on. We're just going to talk briefly about setting realistic goals for your race day. Of course, this year, as last year, halfway through training, things are so much different because we're not able to race in person for the most part. But basically, I'm assuming all of you are either first timers. Well, Lisa, I know you're not a first timer, or second, third time half marathon or full marathoner. So initially, when you're just starting on this business of these long distance races, your initial goal for your very first one should be just to finish, to cross the finish line, hopefully with a smile on your face, looking at the camera and getting a nice, race photo. But beyond that, if you're trying to set time goals or different race goals for yourself, there are some things that you're going to want to consider just to keep things realistic, and not get caught up in kind of what everybody else's goals might be. So at the start of your training in January and early February for the half marathoners, hopefully you evaluated what your base training looked like. I don't know if all of you really know what base training means, but it's the training base of miles and numbers of weeks long that you've been doing them, that you bring to the start of your training program. And the more substantial your base training and what you have set in place, the more successful your training is going to be, and the more, what's the word I'm looking for, ambitious your race goals can be. But first timers, definitely, you just want to try to get through the race, enjoy it, and get to the finish, cross the finish line, which again, this year we won't be doing, unfortunately. So after, if you can, and hopefully next year we'll be able to do this, run a few races during your training to evaluate how your training is going, how your long runs are feeling, and to help test some of your goals. And after your first or second 10 or 20 mile, or 10 for the half or 20 for the marathon, evaluate then. That's a good time to step back, look at your training, look at how it's gone. Are you happy with how your training runs have been going? Are they not so great? And maybe the weather has interfered for the winter and you maybe need to reevaluate down a little bit, or the opposite can happen. Things could be going really, really well, and you didn't realize what great shape you were in to start with, and you can reevaluate and adjust up to more ambitious goals as well. But think about, anything can happen on race day, no matter how well prepared you are and what your goals are. The weather, how your body feels, illness, can really affect everything on race day. And later on in seminars down the road, we're going to talk about, the taper and race week prep and so forth, which will cover some of this stuff in there. But there's 3 possible outcomes for race day in a really long race. The first is you have a perfect day. You hit the goal, you finish, if that's your goal, you qualify for Boston, if that's your goal, whatever your goal may be. Number 2 is you'd have a not so perfect day. It wasn't too bad, but you constantly had to reevaluate as you were going along. I was telling Victor and Sarah, we've all had to reevaluate our goals even at the starting line, depending on what that morning or that week has brought to you before the race. If you run enough marathons, this is going to happen to you. And then, you have to evaluate as the weather plays out during the race. Maybe the humidity rises or it starts to rain. Or if you're not running Pittsburgh and you don't know the course, you may not know what's coming. So you need to kind of reevaluate as you're going along. So not so perfect day, but it worked out okay and you're happy with it. And then number 3 is it's just not my day. I'm going to forget about the goals and just finish the race. Run, taper back your pace, walk, do whatever you need to do to try to finish the race, unless of course you're injured. And then you know what you really should do. If you're injured, you shouldn't be trying to push through. But
So there, let me jump in, Betsy. There's a 4th option, which is DNF, did not finish.
Right.
And there
which
will
is what
be
I'm
time.
talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you're injured, yeah, you want a DNF, right?
Well, maybe you're not injured. So just to draw on an experience, I've run a couple of marathons. I had a couple of marathons under my belt. My training was perfect. It was a particularly weird day. Temperature was humidity. I got to about mile 7 or 8 to the west end, and I'm like, I don't feel so great. Something's not right. I started feeling hot, but I, couldn't really put my pulse on what the issue was. Got through the south side, was really struggling. I knew that I had like 15 more miles to go on the full course, and I was, I said, you know what, I'm not going to finish this course. I'm not going to, I'm not going to make it. So what I did is at the Birmingham Bridge, I made that left instead of the right for the full, and I finished the half marathon. I got my half marathon medal. My time didn't count, but it was a decision that I made that something physically was not right with me, and it was a good thing that I stopped because I did not feel well when I hit the finish line. So there are going to be days, there are going to be instances like that you just can't predict. But you really need to listen to your body. And if you don't feel well, walk part of the race course, stop, don't run, see if you recuperate. But if you're not feeling well, there's no harm. There's there's nothing wrong with not finishing a race. It's better than pushing yourself and dying. Seriously. I mean, it's
Yes,
just
absolutely.
a race. It's not your life. So, people don't talk about not finishing. Everybody's very disappointed in themselves. They feel like they're a failure. There's another race, another day for you to tackle. Don't push yourself beyond your limits. Listen to your body. It's telling you stuff, and it's really important.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. However your race day turns out, just try to focus on what you have accomplished. Look back through your training log and just look at all of the work that you've done. Focus on that, focus on the positive things and not the negative. Don't focus on what you haven't accomplished. As Victor just said, there's always going to be another race. And if you do this enough, some of those races are going to turn out great for you, and some won't. So that's really about all I have to say. Setting realistic goals is, a very personal thing as well. We coaches are here if you need help evaluating how your training's going. Feel free to send us an email at info, is it Sarah, info@steelcityrrc.org?
It is. I'll throw it in the chat too.
And we'll make sure that a coach can get back to you to help you evaluate how things are going. So we'd be happy to help with that. Since we're not in person, it's unfortunately, we'd be in the garage every Saturday there to answer questions for you as we're going along, and hopefully next year we will be doing that. So, so let's finish up. We just have maybe a minute or two here. Does anybody have any questions about race day goals or thoughts or experiences that they want to share with us quickly?
Just before I do that, Sarah, open up the chat at your end so that when it's going to be recording from your end, so that people who are watching the recording can actually see the links that Tim has posted to the article and the Steel City. So go ahead.
Definitely.
Thank you, Tim, for posting that. Okay, well, it's 8:01. Time to get out there on this beautiful, sunny, almost first day of spring morning and get some miles in. So hopefully we've helped you. Sorry?
I don't know. Did anybody have questions? We probably didn't give them enough time to unmute and ask.
Questions? Thoughts, experiences? No? Okay. So check out your shoes. And if you think you need to be reevaluated for shoes, you know where to go. Tim, you gave us really great information today and we appreciate it. I hope people who didn't join in today, I really hope that they watch that segment of this video for sure, because it was very helpful. We appreciate you spending your time.
No, thank you. Thanks for letting me jump in here. And my email address is just tim@fleetfeetpittsburgh.com. So if you have questions about shoes, like your shoes, what you're running in, any product related questions, you can shoot me an email.
So
that's all written out at Fleet Feet Pittsburgh.
Yep, I'll drop it in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't you tell everybody the address and remind people 10% discount at Fleet Feet.
Yeah.
Steel City.
It is.
Okay. All right, everybody. Well, if you're heading out for miles, I am soon. Have a great run this morning. Be safe and be well. And hopefully we'll be back at the garage before too much longer.
Yes,
well, I guess
keep an eye out for
are.
the next email. The hope is that next Saturday we have to evaluate the numbers coming in for cases of coronavirus, but ideally next Saturday that run is on the schedule for now. So stay tuned to your emails. That's how you'll get all the information from us. So
okay, and send us an email if you have coaching questions. We'd be happy to help you. All right.
Thanks all. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.